Have you ever come home thinking you'll just relax, but then walk into pure chaos? That's exactly what happened to me last Tuesday. I'm walking up my street when I see flashing lights by our neighborhood pond, and I know something big is going down. Because in Oakwood Heights, police cars only show up when our HOA president Karen is having another one of her meltdowns. And boy, was I right. Everyone in our neighborhood knows Karen's playbook by now. She loves making drama out of nothing. She's always finding new ways to boss people around. And today, her victim was Walter, this sweet 78-year-old grandpa who fought in Vietnam. He's lived here since forever, and he was just sitting by the pond with his fishing rod, minding his own business. But apparently, that was too much for Karen to handle. I could hear Karen screaming before I even got close. Her voice is like nails on a chalkboard, so loud and angry it makes your ears hurt. She's standing there with her arms crossed super tight, wearing her HOA president badge like she thinks she's some kind of police officer. Her blonde hair is bouncing around as she waves a stick folder at a young cop who looks totally confused. Meanwhile, Walter is just sitting there in his old fishing hat, completely ignoring all the craziness behind him. Here's where things get really interesting. And if you want to know how one bad decision can cost a whole neighborhood $3 million, you better keep watching. Let me tell you the backstory. Walter has lived here since 1992. Back then, this place was just empty farmland with dirt roads and a pond where local families came to fish. His house sits right next to this beautiful 3-acre pond. For over 30 years, he's walked down there every single morning, sometimes with his grandkids, usually by himself. Then Karen moved in 2 years ago. She bought the biggest house on the fanciest street. Within 6 months, she somehow became HOA president. And that's when everything went wrong. Suddenly we had crazy rules about mailboxes, paint colors. I swear she only liked the most boring colors ever. Then she went after the landscaping, like we all had to live in some fancy golf course. But her biggest target was always a pond. Karen wanted to make the pond private. Only special people could fish there. You'd need permits and pay $50 every month. Can you believe that? So this Saturday morning, she shows up wearing her fanciest business suit and marches up to Walter like he's some kind of criminal. She starts reading him all these HOA rules and threatens to call the police for trespassing. When Walter doesn't even look up from his fishing, she actually calls 911. She called the police on a 78-year-old man for fishing. By the time I got there, half our neighborhood was watching. My neighbor Janet was there with her dog. People were recording with their phones. Everyone was excited because we thought maybe Karen would finally get in trouble for once. The young police officer tried to be nice about it. He asked Walter where he lived, and Walter just pointed to the trees at his house. Super calm and cool. Karen kept going on and on about property values and HOA rights, waving her folder around. That's when she mentioned the pond was worth $2 million. The cop looked at Karen's papers, but then he asked Walter if he had any proof he could fish there. Walter opened his old tackle box and pulled out this really old envelope, like something your grandpa would keep in his desk drawer. He handed it to the officer, and suddenly everyone got quiet. It was a deed from 1992. The cop called the county office right there on the spot. Karen was tapping her foot, giving everyone dirty looks like, "See what happens when you don't listen to me?" 3 minutes later, the officer hung up, and the look on his face said everything. Turns out the pond and 50 feet around it was never actually owned by the HOA. It was a big mistake in the paperwork. The county actually owns it, and Walter's deed gives him special rights to fish there. So not only can Walter fish there, but he might be the only person in our whole neighborhood who's officially allowed to. The HOA has been making rules for land they don't even own. Karen's face turned about 5 different shades of red. She started demanding to talk to someone's boss. But the news was already spreading like wildfire. People were checking the HOA website on their phones. Someone yelled about getting their money back. Suddenly, Karen's whole empire started falling apart like a sandcastle when the waves come in. Within an hour, 2 county workers showed up. This no-nonsense lady named Patricia was in charge. She told Karen to stop everything and give back every penny of those permit fees. And to make it even worse, she said the county would check every single thing the HOA claimed to own. But Patricia wasn't done yet. She made Karen stand by the pond and say sorry to Walter while he was still fishing. Some people actually started clapping. Others asked Walter if they could fish with him. Just like that, you could feel our whole neighborhood start to relax again. All that weird tension and tiptoeing around Karen was gone, at least for now. That night, I heard about the emergency HOA meeting. 3 board members quit because they didn't want to be part of this mess. The other board members got lawyers and found out they not only owe thousands in refunds, but the HOA lost over $2 million overnight. Even their insurance company got involved, wondering if Karen messed up so bad it counts as being careless. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. Walter had actually tried to warn Karen about the pond months ago. After her first board meeting, he showed her the same envelope and offered to go to the county together. But she just ignored him and said old people need to accept change. She never listened, never cared about the history. She didn't even know that Walter's family owned the original farm this whole place was built on. His dad had written those fishing rights into the county records in black and white before most of us were even born. Then the local news found out about it. The headline read, HOA president calls cops on elderly veteran, loses $2 million asset. But wait, it gets even better. Turns out Karen had been sending mean letters to residents about the pond and collected over $15,000 in fake permit fees. She even convinced the board to borrow money for pond improvements on land the HOA never owned. Now the state attorney general is getting involved. Word is Karen listed the pond as community property on loan papers and in advertisements, which might actually be fraud. Her real estate license, that little badge she always bragged about, is now under investigation. Fast forward to the special meeting. The clubhouse was packed. For once, people weren't scared to speak up. The treasurer dropped a bombshell. Not just $2 million in lost property, but another $800,000 in possible legal trouble. The mood in the room was electric. People started listing all the crazy fines Karen had given out, like the $500 she charged a widow down the street for having the wrong mailbox, or threatening to sue the disabled veteran over his wheelchair ramp. It was like our neighborhood had been holding their breath for years, and now everyone could finally say what they really thought. The vote to kick Karen out wasn't even close. 212-3. She stood there at the front, frozen, moving her mouth like she wanted to say something, but there was nothing left to say. Then came the vote to make her pay for the damages personally, 198-17. The board's lawyer stood up and explained that Karen could owe over $300,000 of her own money, not counting possible fraud charges. Someone in the back yelled that the state might send her to prison for up to 5 years. That's when Karen ran, papers flying everywhere, heels clicking down the hall, sprinting to her fancy car. I wish I could say that's the end, but honestly, it feels more like the beginning of something new. The pond is open. People are talking again. There's this amazing feeling of hope in the air, but the mess Karen made will stick around for a while. Some folks want to sue her. Others just want their money back. And there's still that big audit coming. You know what? Sometimes it takes a public disaster to finally get neighbors on the same side. So what do you think? Did Karen get what she deserved, or did things go too far? Was she just unlucky with bad paperwork? Or did she earn every bit of trouble that came her way? I really want to hear what you think. Leave a comment and tell me where you stand. Because if this story proves anything, it's that sometimes the biggest drama happens right in your own backyard.